Hi, welcome back to the Mike Gormley Show. You were ushered in by an artist by the name of Greg Darling and a song called Triggered. And our guest is Vicky Hamilton, who picked the music today based on a lot of things she's worked on over the years. Greg Darling, where did he fit into all of that? Where did he what's his
Um,
background?
I managed his band Darling Cruel in the 80s and got them a
Mm.
deal with Polygram Records. And I co-wrote three of the songs on their first record, but that song Triggered, I just co-wrote with him and we released together. And he has a label called Two Lions right now through my label, Dark Spark Music. And he's got a bunch of artists that are doing really well. And then he's releasing a song that he co-wrote with Julian Lennon that's coming out in January.
Cool. Sounds very cool. Did you say you got three labels? Did I misunderstand that?
No, he has a label called Two Lions
Right.
that is distributed through my label called Dark Spark Music through the Orchard Sony.
Okay. You had an interesting label back in the day, and you signed someone who couldn't get signed at that point, which is June Carter Cash. Is that
Y-
accurate?
Yes, I had a label called Small Hairy Dog,
Right.
and um, I joint ventured with a label called Risk Records, but now it's being distributed through Dual Tones Records, and it won a Grammy. It was like my first record that I made on my own, and
Wow.
I was like one for one.
Better than a lot of people.
And this was pre-Walk the Line, so it wasn't, hardly anyone knew who June Carter was at that point, but it's a beautiful record. I still love that record so much, and the experience of working with June Carter and Johnny Cash and their son John Carter Cash and JJ Blair, who like was pretty much the engineer on it at the Cash Cabin in Nashville is like something I will always cherish in my mind. It was because I always signed baby bands and, they were already iconic, so it was a big thrill for me.
Um, how did you come across her, or what was the connection for you to make this happen?
I was managing a band called the Freewheelers that were on American Records, and they opened for Johnny Cash at House of Blues when it was on Sunset, and it's no longer there. But and Rick Rubin and Tom Petty were at the bar backstage, and I like I idolized Tom Petty, and he was like one of the reasons why I moved to LA. I always thought that I was going to marry him or something, but that didn't pan out. But I was talking to them about how I like loved June in the set with Johnny and how she literally like sort of kicked him in the butt during Jackson and all that. And Rick Rubin got this look on his face, which he did a lot. And he had this epiphany that I should make this record with June. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't really know anything about country music. I don't think I could like really do that. And he's like, no, you're the coal miner's daughter. You have to make this record. And at the time I was working at Lookout Management under Elliot Roberts and helping them start Vapor Records. And the next day I had met June going down the stairs and I was like, yeah, I really loved it. And she's like, oh, thank you, honey. Yeah. The next day I get to work and there was a message from June saying, Rick Rubin says you need to make my records. It's like I went and I met her and her friend Rosemary for tea. And by the end of it, I was just like in love with her. And I was like, I have to do this. And I shopped it everywhere in Los Angeles and New York, and then I went to Nashville. Nobody wanted to do it, so I decided I was just gonna like make a record myself. And never mind, I didn't know how to run a record company or start one or anything, but I just decided I was going to do it, and I did it. It's like it won a Grammy.
That's
And
fantastic.
the documentary right now called June is up for a Grammy as well. So.
So it's in there?
Yeah, and it's like there's a lot of footage of me in it, in the making of that record in the cabin. It's really beautiful footage.
When was this?
That was right around, well, we made it before 2000, but it won the Grammy for 2000.
I see. Cool. Goes back a ways.
Yeah, ways, yeah. Yeah.
Interesting people to be with. I met Johnny Cash several times. I didn't get to meet June, but always, conversation with him was always interesting.
They were like soulmates and they were like kids together. It was really beautiful to watch.
That's very cool. And you helped get some music out there.
Yeah, it's a great record. I mean, you can still hear it.
Yeah.
That music never dies.
No, especially things connected with the Carter family go on for a very long time.
Yeah.
Those,
I think they were like the first band that ever got a record deal. Somebody told me was the Carter family.
I
I
think that's
don't
true.
I don't know if that's true, but it seems like it's pretty true.
Well, certainly we were around at the beginning of everything, and
Yeah.
um,
Maybell, all of them. Yeah.
what a world that must have been.
Yeah.
We think we think it's crazy now, different ways of crazy then. But anyway, the it's you talked about writing lyrics, and then over here is poetry. Are they the same to you, or is there a different feel to writing poetry?
Um, Well, I think that writing music is a little different just because some words don't sing very well. Like a lot of times when I had written with Greg, he would change out words because the word I used didn't sing well.
Mhm, mhm,
So he would change it up a little bit. And obviously, you can use more words in poetry than you can in a song.
mhm.
Um, but it's similar. It's all storytelling.
It's there was a quote in I can't remember if I saw it on your website or in a book or anything, but um, that it says Vicky finds success as a music business professional only to lose it all after chasing a dream that became a nightmare.
That's about accurate.
Now we've talked about it off and on here, but can you explain that? I mean, was that just one era or one particular incident or what?
Um, I think that was probably something related to Appetite for Dysfunction, right? That you read. You know, I always go into these things with the best intentions, but artists are artists and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Now it's like I protect myself legally a lot more than I used to back in the 80s. I used to just like fall in love with potential and would like run with it.
Right.
You know. And with the case with Guns N' Roses, it was like I was in the process of working out the management deal with them when the bidding war broke out. So my management contract never got completely done. And of course, then, the record label advised them to get major management. So, and I got an A&R job. That was kind of the trade-off, but you know, I wasn't the brightest bulb on the tree back then. I should have probably just like stuck with it and but
Man,
you never know how things are gonna go. So
the times that you can say I didn't know what I was doing. You don't know what you're doing, no matter what profession you go into, even if you're educated in terms of, college or whatever, you still don't know what you're doing until you get into the trenches.
right.
You got
Yeah.
into some pretty deep trenches.
Yeah. And it's like every time that I think I know everything, that's when I get beat in the head with something I've never seen before. So I try never to like come off like I know everything because then that's when it goes sideways.
How, it's a it's pretty painful you're working with people and maybe they're friends or maybe they're just co-workers or whatever, but when they turn against you, as at least that's how it feels, they turn against you.
Yeah,
It's heartbreaking, right?
totally. I mean, when Brett Michaels decided he wanted to fire me, he had everybody chanting "fuck management" in the parking lot at the country club. That didn't feel very good.
Imagine.
Um, but yeah, and also it's usually, four or five against one or two, sometimes I did co-management deals, but I don't know. I like working artists that are on their way up. Like they're nicer when they're younger and on their way up, and it's more fun for me. It's not the most lucrative, obviously, but that's what I love.
Well, it's interesting at that stage because they're willing to listen and need to listen, but they're also kind of know-it-all at the same
Yeah.
time. Strange mixture of they know what, and so they listen to some things and don't listen to others. And anybody who's listening, I'm not referring to any particular artist. It's it just it's a learning process.
Yeah, I have a poem in the book called Next Level, and I wrote that I think in August because my band Motherwind was playing a festival and it was like they outdrew a lot of the bands that were like the major bands and I could see it in them, it was like, okay, we're going next level now, so I wrote that
Mm.
poem and it's interesting to watch. It's like the 15 minutes, they either like really happen big or that's it, the end. But I think Motherwind's going the distance, so we'll see.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, well, you always got something going.
Yeah, I stay in it. And I really like to write, so the writing's been fun and I'm writing a new book now too. So
What kind of book this time?
it's called Strawberry Girls and it's sort of my love affair with effeminate men. That's all I'm going to say about it right now, but every woman should read it.
We'll have you back to talk about it.
Yeah.
What happens. Uh, we're going to go to a commercial now. I'm not too sure what piece of music we're going to hear on the way out, but we'll see you on the other side. This is the Mike Gormley Show, and thanks for listening.
The